SITC fam. If you like what you're hearing, don't forget to rate us 5 stars on any podcast platform. Leave us a review wherever you can. And don't forget to subscribe to Lynn and Geselle on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram and find us on Facebook at Sonographers in the Cities.
Everyone, welcome back to another episode of Sonographers in the Cities. I'm Lynn.
And I'm Geselle.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Our first episode of March. Geselle, can you believe it? It's March already.
It's
Spring
March.
is coming.
I like March though, because it's like the start from cold to hot. Well, in Vegas at least. It's still kind of cold out here. It was snowing the other day.
It was snowing this week in New York too. It's so funny. It's like we haven't really received snow until like the last day of February, and then there's a snowstorm.
And there's snow. Oh my gosh, yeah, it's been crazy. But it is the time for spring to come, and a lot of you guys who are students may need to prepare for your ultrasound programs that are coming up. A lot of ultrasound programs actually require for you to go into an interview, and you have to probably get a bunch of your stuff together. So Lynn today and I are going to talk about how to prepare for your ultrasound program interview.
Yay! We've gotten so many questions throughout the years from prospective students like you who are listening for interview tips on how to successfully, successfully
ace your interview.
Ace your interview. There we go. I can't really say pass your interview because it's not pass and fail. It's just ace your interview.
Mm-hmm. And we want you guys to go into it prepared, just like how you guys have been doing all your research. I mean, what's the point of doing all your research if you don't go into your interview prepared?
Yes.
So this is actually going to be part of a 2-part episode. This episode is going to be ultrasound program interview. And then the next part is going to be your ultrasound job interview. 2 totally different things, but at least we'll have them right next to each other back to back so we can kind of dive into the interview realm of things.
Yes, and it will be easier for you to navigate on which interview prep you need to focus on.
Yeah, so today is all about students, all about you guys who are trying to become a sonographer, which means you're in the very beginning stages of trying to become a sonographer. You're looking for a program. You're in the process of choosing that school and wanting to get into the program. That means you've already done your research on the school that you're choosing, whether it be accredited or non-accredited. If you don't know yet, we do have an episode that we did talk about that, episode 68. So if you still need to choose your program, we've got a lot of episodes on that. But this is for those who are ready to get an interview done. And not all places have interviews, actually. So if you're a place where you don't have to interview, lucky you. But this is for those who have to go through an interview. It's a great episode to listen to because you're going to go into an interview at one point in your life.
Yes. Whether for school, for or a job. Like if it's not this program, if you decide to pursue higher education, you most likely will get interviewed for those programs as well.
Yeah. So with that being said, then let's talk about interviews.
How about you start? Because you were listing it before.
Okay.
I have
you got questions? Okay. So stay tuned for questions that Lynn has for you. I actually have a few tips, I guess, before you're going into your interview that you need to make sure you have ready for you. One of them obviously is maintaining a good GPA, because obviously they're going to ask you probably about your GPA or the classes and the grades that you got in your classes. So make sure you have all of that stuff squared away, all the things that you need required for that interview, like a strong resume, any letters of recommendations, make sure you do all of your research about the school and the program because they may ask you about what do you know about ultrasound? What do you know about the program? And a lot of you guys can say that you're doing your research by listening to podcasts. You can throw our name in there if you want. They'll be impressed, I'm sure. And then that you're doing your research on YouTube. Don't just say, obviously, I just wanted to scan babies or whatever, the funny joke that many people say. You want to impress them, right? So obviously, you doing your research and listening to ultrasound podcasts is really going to impress someone that's interviewing you because they know that you really want to get into this program. You are doing your due diligence because they want to choose students who are willing and ready and want to learn, who are not going to drop out of the program. Another tip is to make sure you obtain maybe some shadowing or volunteering opportunities out there so you can bring that to the table when they do ask you what experiences you have, things like that. But just be ready to speak on behalf of why you're so passionate about ultrasound. Arrive early, be prepared, dress dress nicely, smile,
Professionally.
yeah, professionally, and be prepared for whatever they're going to ask you, which Lynn's got a few questions here, I'm sure that she wants to help you guys out with.
Okay. Do I start now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm taking this from the post that I did. When did I do this? Almost 2 years ago. I received a lot of feedbacks on them saying that like they were asked these questions, and these are the questions that I was asked myself.
Hmm.
And I think they're very generic that and could be used to other programs as well. So the first question they would ask is, "Tell me about yourself." Like this question, they will ask it for program interviews. They could ask it for job interviews. There are different variations to this question that they could ask, like, why do you think you're qualified for this program? Or I'm not going to say job because we will dive into that later. And then this is when you could share your GPA that you worked hard when, the one that Giselle was mentioning, and all that you've been doing to prepare for this program. So that's the first question.
That's a good question. That's usually the very first thing I think people will ask
Yes.
in many interviews.
And it's
Because
a question for you to sell yourself.
yeah, because they want to get to know you.
Yes.
It's kind of weird though, because it's like, okay, what do I say? So just be
But
prepared for that.
it's very uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And second question is, why do you want to be a sonographer?
Okay. Ultimate question.
Yes. So you have to, do some self research or think of a good motivating, no, a good inspiring answer.
Yeah, something that'll make them remember you by, I think.
Yes. And think that this is what will drive you to be successful in the program.
Right. I remember what I said, honestly.
What
Do
did
you
you
remember
say?
what you said?
Yes.
Well, actually, for my program, we had to write a letter as well as like why we want to become an ultrasound technologist, like why
Oh,
we would
like a
be fit.
personal statement.
Yeah. So it was like a whole letter, and I still have it. I can show you it.
I
I
did
think some
that too.
people have asked me too, and I will just tell them the gist of it, obviously. But part of it was obviously my family is in healthcare. My
Mhm.
grandpa, at the time when he was alive, he had to get ultrasounds and things like that. A lot of it has to do with experience, and they like to see that you have something that you can relate to the experience of the job. But not only family being in healthcare, my grandpa, um, I know, and I did research that ultrasound has to deal with having a very precise hand-eye coordination, very still. You need to be able to hold a probe, multitask, things like that. And I explained that when I was doing my sorority sister's eyelashes, I was putting them on her eyes. And I remember at the time she was saying that my hands are very still. I'm very good at what I was doing. And she was like, wow, you're very good at that. And I was like, thank you. I'm very good at that, actually. And I brought that up in the middle of the interview, saying that at that moment I thought, oh, wow, I'll probably be really good at ultrasound because I know you have to be very good at holding a probe. And that was like the basic beginning. I knew nothing about ultrasound, right? But that was in my interview. And I would only assume that they would remember me by that. Like, that's so random.
That is very that's very stand puts you stand out from.
Right. They're like, oh, the girl with the eyelashes,
Yeah.
the girl with the steady hand. And I
No,
could
I
say,
think it's like the eyelash girl.
yeah, I'm very good at carotids and venuses. And with those, you need to have a very steady hand. You cannot fall off the vessel. So there's an example for everybody. Now all the interviews are going to be like, I got a steady hand.
I'm gonna remember that.
Yeah.
That's
Do
a
you want
good
to tell
one.
them yours?
Mine is not as good as yours. Obviously
But
there's
still,
personal experience.
yeah.
I've shared numerous times why I go into sonography and why I want to be sonographer. It was because of my dad, because he was sick.
Hmm.
So that's it. That's
Yeah.
it.
But
There's
it stands
nothing
out.
funny about it.
No, but it still stands out and they will take notes on you guys. Like they are taking notes. If you don't think they are, they are. So just know that they're listening to what you have to say in your interview.
So the next question they would ask is, why are you interested in the school's program? So again, like Giselle said before, when you do your research for your program, this is when you would list out the reasons why you choose this program, why you want to be in this program.
Mhm.
Preparation is key.
Oh yeah.
And if the program has different kind of tracks, meaning specialties, concentrations, they might ask you what specialty concentrations you are interested in.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder if they would be like, "Oh, are you interested in vascular or are you interested in cardiac? Are you interested in general?
Or
Are you
like the
interested in getting one or the other?" Like that
Mhm.
kind of thing.
Or you apply to a specific concentration and they ask why you want to be in this concentration.
Okay, yeah.
Another question could be, what is the average salary of a registered sonographer?
Hmm.
So this question is not because they don't know the average salary. It's to show that you're doing research on the career that you are pursuing in, so that you know that you're mentally prepared to what's on the other end once you've finished the program. Because a lot of people think that it's easy and just apply to
Yeah.
make money.
Mm-hmm.
So please refer to a previous episode.
Yeah, listen to our last episode. It's actually very eye-opening.
Yes.
Very eye-opening.
All right. So that's couple one. I got another one is, I was asked, what is the difference between sonography and radiology?
Hmm.
Again, a question where you need to do research for the career that you're pursuing it.
Yeah. I actually
I
have.
remember,
Did they ask you that?
yes,
Oh
and I bombed this question
my gosh. You're probably like, I
because
think they're the same.
I didn't do research as
Mm.
much as I should have.
Okay. A lot of people don't though. I
I
didn't.
know, but I feel like all of you who are asking us questions and stuff are
They
totally over prepared compared to me. Like I feel like an underachiever.
no, they are prepared. They are getting
I know
prepared.
they're super prepared. I'm so impressed.
Yeah.
Well, for this
I was gonna
for this
say,
question,
yeah, I was gonna say there's a lot of people who ask us all the time.
yes,
And it's not that, I think nowadays it's just there's so much information out there, you can probably get the answer. You can be so prepared, but then you can get into the interview and get nervous and just forget everything. Like, you
yes,
know. So it's good to be prepared.
yes, it's very good. For this question, I remember I bombed it because I couldn't remember the difference even though I knew. But then when I looked it up, but I did, and I said sonography has something to do with sound waves and
That's good.
radiology, um, something to do with X-ray. I don't remember. I just know that I said sound waves for sonography, and it is what's the word for no radiation? It is
It has no radiation. Like it's just
it's there's a word for it. I'm like blanking out right now. Can you help me, please?
um well, radiation.
There's no radiation in
Yeah.
sonography. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah. That's exactly what you just
Is
said.
no, I feel like there's a fancier word.
Oh.
Do you
No,
remember? No?
no.
Okay.
I just remember like, oh yeah, I like ultrasound because there's no radiation and um it's up to the person behind the like it's the person that like I
The
was a student,
operator.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's the person that's taking the images, like stop the machine. Like it's the most basic thing you can tell
Mhm.
them and they will be impressed.
Yeah. Like sonography
They're
involves
impressed by
sound
you.
waves.
Yeah. You said that you made it. So
Right. So funny. I look back and I'm like, if I was me interviewing myself, I wouldn't accept me.
oh my gosh. But look at where you are now.
Another question that could be asked is what is the importance of patient confidentiality?
Hmm.
So, again, the question to see if you research on this career or in healthcare in general, because patient confidentiality is a big, big, big,
Deal.
um,
HIPAA.
yes, HIPAA is a big, not concern, but big topic every day because it involves what you do daily.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
so
it's
lots of
HIPAA.
research questions because they want to know that you are actually interested in this field and not just some random person trying to get into ultrasound for some random reason.
Yes. And that you're serious about it too.
Yeah, they're actually going to pick you out and you're going to be compared to other students that are interviewing, right? So they want to see how much you know compared to another person. So they may ask you, which is, I don't know if it's one of your questions, which is, what makes you better than the other student? Or why should we pick you instead of another student? Like they asked me
Oh,
that.
thank goodness I didn't get that question.
I got that question. They said, why
What
should we pick you?
and what did you
We
say?
only got 10 spots. Why should we pick you? And
Mhm.
you should be able to answer that question, not in a I guess you say like cocky way,
Oh,
but you could say it in a way where you bring yourself up to light as well as everybody else, but yourself.
self-confidence is
Hmm.
keyness. So this question could be a variation of tell me about yourself.
It could be, yeah. But they did ask me that for sure, straight up. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, oh.
Oh.
But like as we know, programs take
Mhm.
only the bare minimum usually, and it's hard for them to pick more than what they are offered. So
Mhm.
you really do have to stand out in these interviews. And that's the reason why they do these interviews, is so that you stand out. You did your research. Oh, do you have experience in healthcare? Oh, were you a CNA before? Have you shadowed before? Did you volunteer? What did you learn from any of your experiences? Actually, one of the questions they asked me too was, because I had my job, I had jobs, I worked in college. If you didn't
Oh,
work in
yeah.
college, then that might be a little bit different for you. You need to let them know you volunteered, you were part of a group. They want to see your teammate, you're able to communicate, you have skills, good interpersonal skills. You want to show that you've done stuff, you volunteered, you've been a president of the volleyball association. I don't know, things that'll help you talk yourself up, and actually we do that in the field today when we introduce our coworkers, when we introduce people. This is Bob, the x-ray tech. He's going to take great care of you. He's been doing this for many years. Those are things that we want to do to talk ourselves up, to show to patients that we are capable of taking care of them. I mean, this is like way beyond sonography program interview now, but
Yeah.
it's going to make you a better person and make you
Mhm.
stand out. And we want you to be chosen. We want you to be like, sonographers in the cities prepped me for this program interview and I got it. And I'm now going to go into this program
Oh,
because of
yes.
it. So, yeah, definitely think about all the things that they may ask you. There's a Reddit thread actually that shows what people were asked in their interviews. So you can take a look there. It's like I
Mm.
said, all the information's out there, but we're just here to be the deliverers, the messengers to help you, pull out all the skills that you've got and then go in there and like I said, do
Show
well
it
in the
off.
interview. Hmm.
I wanted to ask you, um, were you asked any behavioral questions? I wasn't, but I feel like they would.
Yeah. So, as far as behavioral, like, what would you do in this situation, or like, what
Or
would you do
like,
with patient situations? Or
no, as a student, I
oh,
feel
I
like they
know.
would ask like how, like if you're struggling in class, how
Yes.
could you overcome it?
Hmm.
Or if you're dealing with, your classmates, like
Yep.
a having a conflict with your classmate, how would you overcome it? What would you do? Since,
One specific one actually was, what would you do if your classmate was like caught cheating? Like
yeah.
I've seen that question be asked. What would you do if you
Hmm.
saw that someone was cheating? Or like, what would you do if you failed a test? Or what would you do if you were on the brink of like getting suspended? Like different things.
Hmm.
They want to see even on your your GPA, I'm gonna say report card. Like if you failed a class, they're gonna ask you what happened then? Or how did you get up from that? They
Hmm.
want to see that you can persevere because being in an ultrasound program obviously is difficult. And they want to make sure that they choose someone who they know, even if you don't have the top grades, they want to know that you're capable of getting through the program. Becoming a sonographer, just because you have straight A's, a 4.0 GPA, doesn't mean you're going to be very good at holding a probe and scanning images and talking to a patient, or having the skills to be in the healthcare field. You can be book smart, but then do you know how to scan and take a good image? They're kind of, but they want someone that's all around, like you can prove yourself in that interview that you can do all of that and you will really stand out. Even, I mean, I didn't
Yes.
have straight A's. I got in my program, which
Hmm.
it is competitive though. So you want to have the highest grades possible. That's the thing. So, but yeah, they do ask those questions like, what would you do in a situation if XYZ happened? And you have to come up with an answer on the spot. Because we don't know what question they'll ask, but you can look up all those situational questions online. You didn't get any of those?
No,
Yeah.
I got a lot of career
Career based research.
career based questions that I barely did research on.
Yeah. Ours is, I'll say our program because every program is different, right?
Mhm.
And our program really shines a light on, are you going to be good at this job? They don't, you can be the top of your class, but are you going to be good at this job?
Mm.
Are you going to be able to give quality patient care? Every program is different. Some of them are just like,
Yes.
oh, but they don't
I
even need
feel like
interviews. They just let people in because they don't need
yeah.
interviews.
I feel
Yeah.
like programs that have limited spots with
Mhm.
small number of like class, they would do more behavioral questions
Yeah.
because they only have that limited amount of students and they
Hmm.
want them all to do well, work well together.
Yeah.
And then my programs, I think, my class was huge when
Oh, yeah.
we started. So it's mostly focused on do we have the right mindset to do
Mhm.
this program?
Yeah. I
So
like
I
that.
think, yeah, I think every program is different. But that could be, a clue for if you're preparing for your program, if your program is competitive, they might lean towards behavioral questions. Or if your program is not competitive, there's like lots of spots. They could lean towards
GPA, your points.
GPA. Yes.
Some programs have actually point systems. So there's another one out here where you have to get point systems and you have to have like high amount of points. If you don't get those points, then you're kind of like at the bottom of the list. And I don't know if they do interviews or not, but I don't think they do, to be honest. But I think it's just a point system. Correct me if I'm
That's
wrong,
interesting.
whoever's at CSN, because I don't know much about CSN, but I don't remember hearing there being interviews for that program because people are like, oh, I applied, but I didn't get in. And I feel like if you applied and then get an interview and then see if you get in or not. But a point system is a bit different because, yeah, you have to have all those points to get in. And unfortunately for me, I'm like, that just sucks because now you didn't interview that person. What if they would have been a great person for that program, regardless of the point system? You know, and I think that's why I like the interview better.
Yeah. Like, what if they're the perfect person to be a sonographer? They're like very caring. They're great scanner, very knowledgeable.
Lots of skills. This job takes a lot of skills. So in your interview, you guys talk about all the skills you have.
Yes, all the skills.
Yeah. But you don't have to say it in a way where like, I know it's weird because you're trying to impress them, but you just show them in a humble way that this is something that you are truly interested in and that you are looking beyond the career. It's a life learning career and that's what you want. And that's what we want in the healthcare field. We want those kinds of people out here, people who are caring, people who have skills, people who don't want to give up, people who can get through a very difficult situation because the healthcare field is difficult. And if anything, if you take everything that we've said in this interview today or in this podcast today to your interview today, you will do just fine. And just you listening to these podcasts in general and videos and doing your research, you are already on top of the game compared to anyone else going into that program interview.
I also have another thing I'd like to add that usually is the last question that they will ask you. They would ask you, most likely, I would say 95%, do you have any questions for me?
Yeah.
So in addition to preparing for all these questions that they might ask and preparing for to show off your wonderful skills and attributes to be a great sonographer, you have to prepare, I would say 2 to 3 questions to ask them to show that you're really interested in this program.
Sure. I want to hear yours. And if they're the same that I would ask, I'm curious. So you what would you ask?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, I don't remember what I asked for a program. I have a list to ask for jobs, which I will share in the next episode. Oh gosh. I feel like you're asking me right now. Like I'm being interviewed. My face is so warm.
What do you think they should ask at the end of their interview?
Oh, I have one. I have this one I always ask. What qualities what qualities do you think would make a successful sonography student in your program? Then they will list out all the qualities that they expect for the student to excel in the program. So that's how you can have a hint of what you need to do to prepare mentally for the program.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, that's a good one. And that gets you talking with them, right?
Yes.
You feel like you want to just like shake off the nerves. And I know
have a conversation.
Yeah, that might be towards the end even, but at least you can show them a little bit of your personality when you're asking these questions, because then you can
Mhm.
be like, okay, yeah, like the hard part is over. Now you get to ask them the questions.
Yeah.
That's a good one. And another, I think, a few questions you should probably ask them if you don't already know if they're KHEP accredited. Obviously, you're going to be doing your research, but if you don't already know, or you can ask them, so how can I take the ARDMS board exam after this program? Can I take it during the program, after the program? They will be impressed that you know about ARDMS. So ask them about ARDMS or, getting registered to become a sonographer, since those of you who are listening are doing your research. As well as you can ask them, how successful are your students in getting a job placement right after graduation?
Mm.
That's another good question to ask. So you can see them tell you, like, oh, yeah, we've got lots of students who get jobs right away. You might catch them off guard too, because who knows how many people ask them that. A lot of people at the
All
end of
right.
their interviews get kind of nervous and don't say anything. A lot of times they're just like, no, I don't have any questions. But yeah, show them that you're interested, show them that you care, ask them questions as well. And if you have any more questions or concerns, you can always comment down below or message us on Instagram, email us, or on Facebook, and we will answer you right back.
Thank you for tuning to this episode. I hope that this episode has been helpful for you. And since we started this podcast, I think this is the first time that we address interview preparations. So please let us know what you think of this episode. Um, if there's anything else we can do better to help you prepare for your program or your job, please let us know. Comment down below, like Geselle said, or reach out to us on Instagram and Facebook.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. See you next week. Or talk to you next week.
Talk to you guys next week.
Thank you for connecting through sounds with us. We appreciate you and can't wait to connect with you again next time.